All right, brothers and sisters. Greetings, greetings, greetings. Check out our intro.
Bean Soup Times is on a mission to create dope content that entertains, educates, and empowers the Black community. We keep our ear to the ground, we ask, we report to you. We help Black people to share their message. We promote real dialogue. We provide a platform to help give voice to the voiceless. We educate you on how to shop smart. Our passion is to inform you about Black events, businesses, organizations, and entertainers. We are Black owned. We are Black Chicago. We are the award-winning Bean Soup Times.
Y'all started off with that blessing, man. Appreciate it.
All right. Greetings, brothers and sisters. I am Tori Muhammad, and you are tuning in to Black Business Matters Show. And we have another amazing guest on today. She is someone who, if you are in business or you are thinking about being in business, then you need to be listening. You need to share with your friends who want to start a business because there's so much that we could talk about being in business, but the most important thing is to have a blueprint, to have some of the basic core stuff that you need. So many people have a great idea. They know how to produce something, that they know how to cook, they know how to do all these things. But if you don't have somebody who can be like a rudder to tell you the things that you don't need to focus on and what you do need to focus on, then you're going to be in trouble. So we're so happy to have the new executive marketing director?
The director of operations.
Director of operations for Moxie in Entrenuity here, Angela Madaha. So, man, we had the pleasure of meeting a couple of days ago, and I knew we had to get you on the show because of what the organization has coming up. But first, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Absolutely. So my name is Angela Madaha. I am a small business lover. I initially got my interior design and my degree in interior design, but realized I didn't want to be a designer. I wanted to help small businesses. So got my MBA, worked in small businesses, and eventually became a consultant about 6 years ago in Chicago. During that time, that's when I met Entrenuity, and I became one of their facilitators. They have been doing amazing work the last 20 years, really helping Black, Brown, women-owned businesses to get launched. And so I became a facilitator teaching entrepreneurship, both here. I also spent some time in East Africa as well teaching, and really found a connection with the company. And then just recently, they bought a building in South Loop that they're renovating. We're renovating, and they had a position for somebody to oversee a lot of that work as well as some of the programming. So I jumped on board. I love the work that they do, and I'm really excited to be a part of that.
Man, that's excellent. So, director of operations, you have an organizational mind.
Yeah, so, I like systems. Some people don't like me.
But hey, that's the core of business. We don't have systems in place. Things break down.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, everybody knows that. Even though we balk at it sometimes, we know we can't operate without the organization having systems.
Yeah, it'd be chaos.
So what? Obviously there was a passion that you said for helping small Black businesses, brown businesses, women-owned businesses. How important are these to the fabric of America? People talk about the importance of small businesses, but talk a little bit about why those have been underserved and need to have a special attention put onto them.
Yeah. So if anyone's been a small business owner, you know how important they are, and also that like most people are employed by a relatively small business, but historically, like it's just like really hard to get funding. It's really hard to get any type of tax help. Like the structures are not built around to really support small businesses, and especially underrepresented founders. There's just it's hard to get into the room where there's money, and those conversations happen at completely different levels, and the doors are kind of shut to let you in. Right. So we want to change that. narrative. We want to change that story. And often, the answers to even poverty and other societal issues can be answered with like business and economics. So we want to be a part of that and to start businesses, but also not just helping them start, but like to get them into the tables of investors and to get them funded. There's really good ideas out there and there's really hardworking people. So, but they just need to meet the right people, and we want to kind of that bridge.
So, I'm so glad you brought that up. So that's so important, right? But there's something in between that has to happen, right? Between that idea that the person has and really being ready to talk to that potential funder, right? And you all play a big role in getting the person ready, right? To be able to have that conversation. Because you can have a big dollar idea, but if the organization is not there and the vision is not there, right? So
talk to so many founders and idea, and I'm an idea person too, but it's like you get really passionate about this idea and how it can like change the world, change your community, and that's great. But if you don't have a plan for how to get there, it's like 99% sure it's going to fail. And like, this isn't just like me, this are, research done on that. If you don't have a plan, if you don't have, someone, advocating for you, even like walking you through it, some sort of mentor, there's a good chance it's not going to work out unless you can self-finance yourself completely, or you've already done it before in the past, right? So, I mean, you need to put some, feet to that idea. And like, you also need to make sure that the path is put in front of you and that the goal is clearly there. And so, we put together recently a kind of a set of programs for 20 years. It's really been focused on launching the businesses. So we wrote a curriculum, 24 steps to launch your business, building a business plan, like kind of weeding out the bad ideas from the good ideas. But now we're realizing a lot of those entrepreneurs, they launched their business, but it's been hard to not just get in front of investors, but to have the idea fleshed out good enough, like to have enough, momentum within your revenue. When you scale your business, you have to be able to prove as you scale, you're not going to run out of money, So there's some really important skill sets that a lot of founders aren't ready for those conversations, and investors just kind of shoot them down. So we want to get all those things taken care of. So that's why we started a new course called Plan to Grow. So how can you plan your growth? How can you dig in and look through? We're going to look deep into your business model. Like, is it sustainable? Is it profitable? Because we want to make sure when you take that next step, when you're planning to scale, if you want to scale, that you are ready. You're ready to have those conversations, and then they'll just see your business and say, okay, let's go. You're ready to go. So we just want to set up for success.
And you all have a new course. This is a course, right? It's a 6-week course. And there's a deadline coming up, right? For
yes. Yeah. So the end of next week, we'd like to get all the applicants in by that point. And, there's only going to be at the most 10. Even less than that is fine, because we want this to be one-on-one live class that you're not just one of 300 and you kind of have to teach yourself. Like, we want to be one-on-one with you. So we're going to make sure that everyone in the class is at the right space. So these aren't for the people who have not launched their business yet. So we have another course for you if that's you, but this one's like, you've already launched, you have a little bit of revenue going, or you've been in business for a while, but you things aren't functioning right. You're not sure why your cash flow is like, having problems. You're not sure that if you want to grow by 50%, how many people do you have to hire in order, to do that and to not run out of money, So we want to like dive into those questions. And especially for those who, have something where they want to later go get investment, we want to prepare you for that.
So, and obviously now you're doing this class in the midst of, I don't know where we at. We at the tail end, in the middle of it, is a resurgence, of all this social unrest and a pandemic. It seems like really focusing on planning and getting things right. This is an opportunity time to do it. It's an important time to do it, right?
Right. And some people need to reassess. I mean, their business model might have to change because you can't fit as many people in your physical location if you have that. Or maybe like there's a new opportunity because of online, like there's a resurgence of online stuff, so we want to help you decipher those decisions because right now is really critical for most small businesses because you don't have really the cash flow to spend a long time figuring out like a lot of the bigger organizations do.
Yep, that's a fact. Yep. And so, that's a challenge, but it also can be the right opportunity. You also can pivot faster.
Yes, you can. Right? That's why I like small businesses. I never wanted to work with corporate because I hate red tape.
Absolutely. So can you give a little outline? What do people expect week to week? What should they gain from it? And then of course, how can people go to the website to sign up for it?
Yeah. So there's 6 weeks. And so each week is going to focus on a different kind of topic or session. And we're going to bring in industry experts as well to speak into these. So we're going to start first on kind of the most important part, which is who is your customer? Now that's like seems like a really basic thing. It's anyone that will buy from me. But if you want to grow, you have to choose. You have to focus on one target market because you have limited time and money. Why are you going to waste it by trying to get everyone else? So we're going to talk about the ideal customer.
Hold on.
Okay.
I want to serve everybody. Everybody likes to eat food.
Right. Yeah. It's true.
Everybody, right?
I know. Right. Yeah. It's true. But like you can't spend your marketing and all your time going to everybody. It's just not going to work. Yeah.
Everybody doesn't like burgers. Everybody doesn't like whatever it is you're selling. Everybody does not like it, and your goal is not to try to convince them.
Right? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we're going to talk about all those things, and we're going to argue through some things too. Believe me, I've been there. So we're going to argue about your customer, and then we're going to talk a lot about pricing. Pricing goes hand in hand with value. Understanding your value, understanding your customer, but also understanding your cost. Like you got to know all of those things before you price effectively. And then how to sell. It's like sometimes it's a scary word to people, but it's like if you don't sell, then you're not going to survive. How do you sell correctly and not come across as scammy or whatever? Like there are proper ways to do that, and so we're going to really train on that, bring in people who have done it successfully and in a very relational way. Another one is going to be all about cost, understanding your internal costs, understanding if you're a product-based business, we're going to talk about how to cost. So not just how to cost what you're doing, but as you grow, how if your costs grow bigger, then if the margin of your cost to your revenue gets smaller as you grow, you're going to run out of business. So it's like, how do we understand cost? And for service-based businesses, it's the same thing. How do you manage your costs? Another one's about just expenses in general. And then cash flow is going to be a really big conversation. Do you know what's going on in your cash flow? And versus, most business owners, it's like, my bank account looks good today, or it looks bad, like that's not really understanding your business. So teach about cash flow, teach about knowing your numbers. If month to month, you're just kind of guessing, then that's what we call the lottery. So there's, if you want to spend your money on the lottery, you can go do that. But if you're in business, there's no reason to do that. So let's not play lottery with your business. Let's actually plan. So those are kind of the topics, overview of what we'll be covering. And also every week you'll just not have a live class, but you have one-on-one coaching session to go a little deeper to answer some more questions that you have.
Man, that's amazing. I love that. The organization, Moxie's been doing this for a while, right? So talk a little bit about that, because some of the things that you're offering is so critical. Nobody likes to be in a group class where one person takes over the conversation because they're talking about their specific business.
Right.
Right? That one-on-one coaching is, that's critical for that person who needs it, because I get it. when they're in that classroom, they're trying to get everything they need.
Yep.
To offer that one-on-one is wonderful.
Yes.
Talk a little bit about the organization, about Brian, and how long it's been around and why it got started.
Yeah, I mean, Brian is kind of the history of Entrenuity. Brian is a force to be dealt with. I love him. He's a great organizational leader, a good boss, and a friend. Brian, I believe he started off with really just he had a passion for teaching youth entrepreneurship, like getting into communities of teaching Black boys and girls, like how do you start your own business, for the future. So he was teaching youth entrepreneurship, and eventually, so did that for a long time. Like I saw thousands of teenagers, and then it kind of also became adult like options because adults were interested. Well, we want to learn this too. And then what's really interesting turn of events when the recession hit, a lot of people went out of business, but Brian figured out and pivoted something that's really brilliant. And why I love the way his mind thinks is he was like, I need to become self-sustainable. A lot of nonprofits make the mistake of only relying on funding when there are, you should build an option for paid for services that, some sort of fee. And so he wrote a curriculum that has become accredited nationally. And that's what we use for our programs. It's called 24 Steps to launching your business, to building a business plan. So this course actually includes that curriculum. We'll reference it. And also an online software to be able to put all the information in. But he wrote that and then sold it, and he used that in his programs and was hired by organizations to come and utilize that to teach, and that became the way that Entrenuity survived and then thrived. And so that's what Entrenuity was focused on. And then maybe about 2 years ago, opened up a co-working space called Moxie. So Moxie became kind of more of like community.
Oh, Moxie is the
that's how they're related. Yeah. So Moxie became about like the space. Entrenuity was kind of like doing programming out, and then Moxie was like, hey, let's come together. Events, entrepreneurs getting connected to capital was a really big deal. Like, how do we have investor events? How do we have speaker series to people, come in and talk about their experiences? And so, and then this opportunity came up, funny enough, when they had to get kicked out of their offices because the building was expanding. And so they, and long story short, they saw an opportunity to buy a building in South Michigan in the South Loop and renovate it. It's the building where the old VJ records, if like that was your time, that was before me. Yeah. And so we're renovating that, and now that's going to be Moxie. So the bottom floor is going to be Overflow Coffee. If you're familiar with South Loop, that's where that's going to be. And then the back and the second story is all going to be private offices, co-working space, beautiful conference rooms. And really it's like for community for underrepresented entrepreneurs. So we really want to try to focus on building, having events, having trainings, but also a space, where all of this comes together.
Man, I love it. The vision is wonderful. I'm excited about how that evolves and grows. And I wouldn't mind being in South Loop right now.
Okay, yeah.
So I know it's still in construction, and some of the things are still being developed because of COVID. Kind of put a little pause in the production, right, in the construction aspect. But we look forward to that when it's up and running.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, we'll have a nice socially distant party. But I mean, a lot of our programs though are not just about the building. And right now, I mean, because of COVID, kind of, but now we're always going to have this offered online. So if, eventually we could have a class inside where we're having great technology installed so that we can have enterprise level conferencing and be able to offer that online. So this specific course that's coming up is 100% online. We're not going to be in the building. You can see all the drywall and everything. It's just going to be online, and it's for anybody across the country that wants to join. And then, so just to kind of give you a bigger picture, twice a year, we're going to have our full round of programming. So the first one's plan to launch. That's how to launch your idea. The second one is once you've launched, plan to grow. How can you grow it? And then the third part is for those ready to scale, called plan to scale. And so we want to go through those 3 programs twice a year, so that's always rotating, so people can fit in where their business and where they're ready. And then obviously from plan to scale, we're then going to have an event where it's called Capital Matchmaker, where you can match up with an investor, as your investor ready.
Beautiful. Okay, so I know we had one question, but I think you answered it. Courtney Muhammad was asking about signing up from Oklahoma. So it's online, and so you're going to be given not necessarily Chicago specific stuff with, but anybody can sign up for it, right?
It's anybody.
Yeah, absolutely. And what is some of the key points that you want to make sure that people understand if they have questions about either the specific legal stuff in the city of Chicago? Because I don't know if that's what he was kind of hitting towards, but licensing and all that, it's pretty much standard, but you just got to go what the specific stuff is in your city, right?
Right. I mean, I think a lot of legal stuff you work through on launching your business, like registering and making sure you follow. Like I have a client who's doing a fitness thing, but she had a lot of legal questions about using the word nutrition. It's just kind of crazy in those details. Like we're not going to go through that. Like those are things typically that happen on the front end. We're not going to talk about really state specific things. These are just good business models. These are things that work for, anywhere. You can have a free market for the most part. So it's going to be it's going to be specific, but applicable for anybody in business that actually wants to make money. Like if you don't want to make money, then this class is not for you, right? Like if you don't care about profitability or your income statement, then you can pass.
And what's the website people can go to?
Yeah, so they can go to Entrenuity.com. So ENTRENUITY.com. And it's just under the adult services. You can see the link for the signing up for Plan to Grow.
All right. And I think Entrenuity, you see it? I spelled it right? Entrenuity.com.
Entrenuity.com. Yes.
Yeah, so you can go there and sign up. And look, it's only $600. And
because of sponsorships. So we've been able to discount it. Yeah.
That's wonderful. And, sometimes people may think even that is a lot of money. And man, what you learn by being around people who know what to do and how to do it and you save so much time. And you're going to save so much money that, if you don't think you have it right now, dip into the savings, dip into borrow it. But, this is the kind of thing you need to be in because you miss out and you lose so much more. Don't think about the investment and, I don't have 600 minutes. Maybe, the pocket is tight right now because of the pandemic and everything. But what you're going to gain is going to be so much more important. I wish I had people who really told me early in my business to spend money to get counseling, get coaching, go to training and learn stuff. I thought I could learn it all on my own. And look, we didn't even have Google back then, right? Right. But it's the same thing. You even when you think you're going online, who are you trusting? What is the source? What have they been through what they're telling you, or did they just regurgitate what they read out of somebody's book that you can go get that same book, right? But when you have somebody who's been through it, and shout out to Brian I think that's one of the biggest problems with nonprofits right now is that they don't have models to generate money that their funding dries up, right? So y'all are doing entrepreneurism as you're teaching it. Yeah, that's so critical. So
absolutely.
You're not gonna learn stuff that was relevant 20 years ago. You learn stuff that's relevant in the space that people are in right now. So man, I love you guys, and we've watched you all for several years. You've been the organization we promoted the events and the classes. So man, we're excited for you all to keep doing what you're doing to help these businesses, help us to grow.
Yeah, absolutely. And I will make it my personal goal to assess anyone that's a part of the program and help you get your revenue up for those $600, because like that's, I mean, just a little tip. I'm going to tell everybody to raise their prices when they're part of the class. So that's just a little insider. That's always the first piece of advice when I look at a business is what is wrong with your prices? You need to raise them. So, yeah.
Absolutely, man. We appreciate you. Anything we didn't cover that we need to
I mean, that sounds like everything.
Man, well, I appreciate you, Angela. It's a pleasure to meet you. And we look forward to, continue connection and you all keep up the great work.
Okay. Thank you so much for having me here. We appreciate you.
All right. We'll talk to you soon.
Okay. Sure thing.
All right. All right, brothers and sisters. That was another great show. Great interview. And we're going to do our commercial.
Sean Michelle's Homemade Ice Cream is the only place to go when the ladies crave delicious old-fashioned homemade ice cream. Their vanilla tastes just like Grandma used to make it. With over 35 flavors, all made with the freshest ingredients, Kathy has never had banana pudding ice cream this good. It's homemade ice cream the way you remember, and Sean Michelle's doesn't upset your stomach. Enjoy in-store or take it to go. Sean Michelle's. Fall in love again.
First time customers buy one, get one free.